Hello and welcome, Deb's here. I was listening to something yesterday that Bruce Lipton speaking on a podcast, and he shared that in his opinion that about 90% or more of us live in a state of victimhood. We believe that we are a victim of something, and that has an impact and an effect on our lives moment to moment. If I'm honest, I wasn't absolutely surprised. And one of the biggest things about that is, in my opinion, I think that most of us aren't even aware that that is what is going on. I think that we believe that we live in a place of facing reality, that this is how it is, this is a truth. I'm not a victim of something, that is just the way the world is. And what I really see is when our minds are closed in that way, there isn't anything we can do about changing that. And what I have seen since I have dived deeply into our spiritual nature, looking at a deeper truth of who we are, that we are sparks of the infinite, that we are a part of the intelligence that created this entire universe. We are not separate from that. And when you take that into account, how can we possibly be a victim of anything? How can there be a reality out there that leaves us feeling downtrodden and victimized, and leaves us in a place of not being able to do anything about that? Because the word victim and helpless are pretty much interchangeable. And when we live in this victimhood, where whatever it is that we feel that we are a victim of, what we are basically saying, what we are putting out to the universe is, here in this particular place, I am helpless and there is nothing I can do. This thing that I don't want, this bad thing that is happening, is just how it is. I have to suck it up and there's nothing that I can do about it. When you look on the other hand, we are the creative essence of this entire universe. We are sparks of God. We have the intelligence that created all of this running through us. There is no way that there is a place here that we have to feel helpless, victimized, and downtrodden. And also, when we begin to look in the direction of the truth within us and our spiritual nature, this also isn't a fight against someone else. What we begin to see, if we are a victim of anything, we are a victim of our belief that we are a victim. That's it. That's what's going on here. And once we begin to truly know ourselves, dive into this and see that the power we have within us, we see that idea of ourselves, that belief about ourselves begins to weaken and die. And when we know that we are not a victim of anything, the world outside us, the world that we have been viewing, the world that looked as if it was against us, changes, looks different from our very own eyes. And that has been my personal experience. That's what happens. So I know when we kind of hear things like that, the next question then is how do we do this? And I know for a very long time when I listened to videos similar to this video, and it'd be like, yeah, but tell me how. Tell me what it is I do. Tell me how to do this. And what I see is that we are the creative essence of this universe, and who we believe ourselves to be in this moment, that is a belief that we have taken on and we are living into. So if we look at our life, how it is at the moment, if we look out of our eyes and see what it is we have, what our relationships are like, what our financial situation is like, what our health is like, all of those things we have created from this idea that we have of who we are. So the idea that you hold in your mind of who you are, that is what creates all of that out in the world. And very, very often, the idea we think that we have, the idea that consciously we believe we have about ourselves, can be very different to the idea that we actually have of ourselves. And we find out what the idea that we actually have of ourselves, we know what that is by looking at our life. You know, those areas in your life where you succeed, those areas in your life that you are, you know, the achievements, that what you do is great out in the world, those are the areas where you have, where your deepest truth about yourself is that you do well in those areas in some way or another. And the areas where you're struggling, the areas where things look tough, the areas where the world looks as if it's against you, that's where you hold beliefs. You know, your truest idea of yourself is not a great one in those areas. So then that begs the question, how do we change that? How do we change what those deepest ideas of ourselves are that we hold? And the way that we do that, first of all, it is by looking at ourselves from a really non-judgmental way and being honest about what is going on in our life. You know, what is it that we need to change? Because if we can't even accept that we are not a victim of anything except our own idea of what we hold about ourselves, our own ideas of what it's possible to be a victim of, if we can't even see past that, then it's going to be very, very difficult to change something, because it's not even going to look like that's going to help or that's going to be necessary. So the first thing to do is to look with non-judgmental eyes, look out on your life and be honest with yourself from a non-judgmental way. This is very, very much about guiding, loving and teaching our minds to be our very best friend and not our worst enemy. So this is all done from a place of love and guidance, not another stick to beat ourselves with, not something else to be annoyed and angry and upset with ourselves at, but taking an honest look at our lives, an honest look at our relationships, our financial situation and our health, and seeing, you know, do I do well in that area? Have I got a good understanding of who I am? Do I hold an idea of myself that I am fit and healthy? Do I hold an idea of myself that I am loving and that I am lovable? Do I hold an idea of myself that money comes to me and I, you know, am good with money? And we can tell just by looking at what's going on in our lives, we can tell what our deepest belief about ourselves is. So the very first step is having the courage from a non-judgmental place to look and see that. And when we see that, we've already started, we've taken a huge step on the path to changing that. So once we know that, then it's a case of, what do you want in those areas? What would you absolutely love your deepest belief to be about yourself? And very often this can be a real toughie. You know, if we have got some beliefs that we've held for a long time, an idea of ourselves that you know, keeps us unhealthy, keeps us poor, keeps us, you know, not having great relationships. It can be, if we actually allow ourselves to dream, you know, what would my ideal relationship would look like? What would my ideal financial situation be? What would my ideal health situation be? But it's then, so the next thing, once we have been honest and seen what it is we want to change, then if we just allow our minds, allow our thoughts, allow our imagination to dream and to look at what it is, you know, how would we like our life to be? What would we love it to be? And then if we begin to, once we kind of have an idea of that, once we know what it is we want, once we have a goal, and again, this is all very much from a place of love and understanding and guidance. Think you're bringing up a small child. Think 2-year-old, 3-year-old. You're not gonna, this isn't about getting angry. This isn't about force. This isn't about push and control. This is about love, understanding and guidance. So then from that space, once we have an idea of what it is we want, begin to live from that space. Look at ways that you can step into being that person. And this takes courage, imagination, it's fun to do, but we step into who is it, how can I, what ways in my life can I live from the space of doing that, and just feel into how amazing it is to be that person. And once we begin to see ourselves from those eyes, once we begin to step into that place, what we see is our mind opens and we begin to get opportunities to move in that direction. We begin to see openings that we can do those things that we are that we are seeing ourselves, how we step into those opportunities arise to be able to do those things. So that is and we find ourselves then, as we move forward, the things that we truly want in our lives, we begin to create them, they begin to appear. So that is a whistle-stop tour of how we do that. And obviously there are more details, we can dive more deeply into this. If this is something that interests you, I am continually making videos about this with little snippets going deeper on particular parts of this, how this works and what this is, how we dive deeper and know ourselves more, how we begin to view ourselves as part of the creative essence of this universe. So this has brought things up for you. If you have got questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below this video. I will answer your comments and I will make videos about anything that you want me to dive deeper into and any questions that you would like me to answer. So have a great day and hopefully I will hear from you and see you somewhere soon. Take care. Thank you very much.